Okay. And welcome in, everybody, to the Last Row Podcast, a fan's perspective on sports. It's Brian here inside the ARM Media Solutions Studios on this Sunday night, July the 26th, 2026. Hope you're well, hope you're happy. Apologize for being a little bit late here to the show tonight. Lovely technical issues that we had to work through here, but we are here. We are ready to go. So happy to have you with us. Whether you are joining us tonight on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you so much for listening, for subscribing, for being part of the show. If you are with us on YouTube and or YouTube Live, thank you so much for joining us there as well. We look forward to seeing you in the chat. If you're on X or Twitter Live, thank you so much for joining there at Last Row Podcast. Make sure you yourself are in there. Good evening, Sticky, on TikTok Live at last.row.podcast. Thank you so much for joining us there. Glad to see so many people out and about tonight. The GOAT is coming to Philly. Yes, in your opinion, the GOAT. We talked about that earlier on this week when the news broke that LeBron James was going to the Philadelphia 76ers. We talked about it at length, and that's actually what we're starting the show with tonight, because we're going to do a weekly recap every Sunday. And so, leading into the work week, so on and so forth, we want to talk about the big news stories. And the big stories of the day, Matt, good evening. Welcome to you as well. Fat Man Trying, thank you for joining us as well. Great to have you aboard on the show. Real quick, let's get the other propers out of the way before we kick into the week that was. Check out our website, www.lastrowpodcast.com. That is where you find links to our sponsors, including I Know a Guy Remodeling, as well as Forever Finds Thrift. If you are an advertiser that subscribes to the show and you want to be part of the show, reach out to us. You can do so through the website. We would love to have you on board. Our sales team at ARM Media Solutions, they do a great job. And they're getting some really big partners lined up, including Fanatics, who will go live this week. So make sure you are with us when we launch our Fanatics Creator Store. And we're also going to be going live on Stream.fm later this week. So make sure that you do so and follow us there as well, especially when it comes to the NFL season. That's all I'm going to tell you at this point in time. All right, let's go ahead and let's get our week in review. Bipping, good evening. Welcome into the show. Am I a Michael Jordan guy? You can bet your sweet fancy Moses that I am. Yes, sir. I am absolutely a Michael Jordan guy. And the reason for that, and nobody will tell me any differently, is because, quite honestly, LeBron doesn't have the killer instinct that Jordan did. And LeBron was way too, or is way too, for lack of a better term, LeBron takes way too many nights off. Way too many nights off. And we're going to talk about that on Monday night, not only here, but we're also going to talk about it with our good buddy, Catching Up with Cody. I'll be live on his podcast tomorrow night here on TikTok, on YouTube. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow him. I'll be live there tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're going to talk NFL, NBA, media news with ESPN, NHL, Major League Baseball trade deadline. We're going to spray to all fields. And I'm looking forward to being on there with my guy, Cody. Really looking forward to it. I've been talking about it pretty much all week. Super excited to join forces with him on his show this coming Monday night. And then we're going to have him on our show the first full week of August. And he and I are going to get together on that and talk specific dates there. So big thanks to Cody for that opportunity. Catching Up with Cody, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time on TikTok, on YouTube Live. Make sure that you are with us on that show. All right, so let's talk about LeBron James and the overall consensus from people, both in the know and out, quite honestly. It's this, is that going to Philadelphia for LeBron is really not the move that many people were anticipating. Many people thought Cleveland. Many people thought maybe, Miami. Many people thought, Golden State. I will say this much about the Philly move. I don't like it, and here's why. It has nothing to do with LeBron James. It has more to do with the Philadelphia 76ers, young talent that now are going to have to take a back seat. Here's the reason why I'm also not a fan of this. LeBron James is joining a team that he feels is ready to compete for a title. However, here's my problem with this. Philadelphia has a big man problem in Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has not averaged more than 60 games over the last, I would say, 5 years. LeBron James has not played more than 71 games over the last 8 years. So what I mean by all of this, it's quite simple. With LeBron James, you're going to get more out of LeBron than you're going to get out of Joel Embiid. But now that puts more pressure on LeBron and more pressure on Embiid. Look, let's be honest here. Joel Embiid is injury prone. And there's no way around that. LeBron James, over the last few years, for lack of a better term, has been injury prone. He only played 60 games last year for the Lakers. He missed 22 games. That's a significant amount for a guy who claims to be, quote unquote, the GOAT. I'm sorry, I have an issue with LeBron James going around calling himself that. Michael Jordan never did. Magic Johnson never did. Kareem never did. Larry Bird never did. Absolutely. I'm thrilled he didn't come to Chicago. Just like Cody, I know you're happy he didn't go to Detroit. LeBron James going to Philadelphia doesn't make much sense. You're already going to a team that's got an established star leader now in Jaylen Brown. Now, Jaylen Brown could very easily fit into the 5 role of Embiid when Embiid goes down, because Embiid's going down. We all know it. But ultimately here, it's taking shots and experience away from VJ Edgecomey, Tyrese Maxey. Never mind the fact that you've brought in LeBaron Philon as your prized draft pick, who fell to you nonetheless. That's going to hinder his development. So as much as people in Philadelphia, oh my God, and I love Philly fans because they are so delusionally passionate and unbridled passion, because they believe that this team is the greatest of all time, and they stick by it, man. But when things go south, they go south quickly with the fans. And so here's my thought. And I'm just going to be honest. And Sticky, you being a Philly guy, you tell me if I'm wrong here. If this goes south early, and LeBron's not happy with Nick Nurse as the head coach. Gotcha, Cody. If this thing goes south with Nick Nurse early, does Philly launch him? I think they do. Because LeBron still is LeBron and has the ability to be that coach killer. We've seen it in Cleveland. We've seen it in LA. LeBron absolutely will use his power to bring in somebody that he wants, whether it's a Tom Thibodeau, whether it's a, whomever. He's going to do whatever he wants to do in that regard. So I believe personally that if this doesn't work right in Philly with LeBron, there's going to be a change at the coaching position. And if that happens, and it's not the coach's fault, because let's be honest here, it wasn't the coach's fault in LA. Frank Vogel, if you recall, he and LeBron were very close. They were competitors when Vogel was the coach in Indy and LeBron was in Cleveland. They had a great rivalry, a respectful rivalry. And one of the reasons why LeBron went to LA was because of Frank Vogel. But then things didn't go well in LA. And J.J. Redick is a good coach. He's not a great coach. He hasn't won an NBA title yet as a coach. Nick Nurse has. Now, the only place LeBron really didn't have coaching control was Miami. And you want to know why that is? It's because there was a president of basketball operations there in Pat Riley that doesn't put up with that kind of BS that LeBron likes to dish out when things don't go his way. Now, let's just call it what it is. LeBron is probably going to play 60 games this year, 65. Okay, I'll set the over-under at 65. I think that's a good solid number for him. Joel Embiid is not going to play more than, I'm going to say more than, realistically, Joel Embiid's not going to play more than 50 games. I think that's a good over-under for him. If he plays 50 plus, that's a win. That is absolutely a win. So, again, I believe that overall, you've got a number of different players that are going to take a back seat now to LeBron James. And when that happens, when LeBron isn't satisfied with where he is, and I'm going to put this out there, and I did on Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever night it was. I want to put it out there. And everybody that follows this show knows I don't wish injuries upon anybody other than the Green Bay Packers, right? Just kidding. Not really. But I don't wish injuries upon anybody. But if LeBron James goes down, God forbid with a torn Achilles or blown ACL, God forbid, if that happens, I don't know that he plays year 2 of that contract. He's over 40 years old now, isn't he? So maybe he's 38. For some reason, 38's sticking in my mind. Anyway, LeBron James isn't the LeBron James that he was 8 years ago when he went to LA. LeBron's not the same LeBron that chased down the Golden State Warriors and made a brilliant block at the end of the game. He's 41. Thank you, Sticky. He's 41 years of age. I'm sorry, but in NBA world, that's old. I think LeBron is hanging on too long here. I think LeBron is playing too long here. I think LeBron, truthfully, is trying to hold on to be relevant for one more year because this was his last decision, right? And the last decision, in and of itself, was a spectacle that, quite frankly, angered the NBA. Adam Silver was not happy. Adam Silver was absolutely not happy, nor were other teams. And the reason for that is because it held up the rest of free agency. And we said the other night when the news broke that the perfect comp, in my opinion, and again, it's real fans, real talk, you're front row to it all here on America's fan-driven sports show, The Last Row Podcast. The number one comp to me for LeBron James is Aaron Rodgers. And people will say that's a really great comp, or they'll say, I hate that comp. Well, I'm here to tell you it's the truth. LeBron James is no different than Aaron Rodgers, and here's why. Aaron Rodgers makes it all about him. LeBron James makes it all about LeBron James. And therefore, because of that, that's why I say that comp is completely legitimate. That comp absolutely plays. And LeBron James is all about LeBron James. He can talk about wanting to win a title again. But the fact of the matter is this. LeBron isn't going to win a title in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, he's not. He might think that he is. But unless Joel Embiid plays 75 games and LeBron plays 75 games and Jaylen Brown plays 80 games and there's no drop-off from, let's say, VJ Edgecomey and Tyrese Maxey and all those guys, if everything goes proper for the Sixers, they're still not going to win a title. And I'm sorry, they're not. You look at what, and we dissected this the other night. And we legitimately went through this the other night. And we're going to do it here now, again. Because you look at what the NBA conference breakdown, standing-wise, okay, what that all looks like, okay? So let's just break it down. In the East, okay, you've got Detroit, Boston, New York, Cleveland, Toronto, and Atlanta. Those were your 6 playoff teams this year. Bipping, good evening. Philly, Orlando, Charlotte, and Miami were the play-in games, or the play-in teams. Now, I don't think, in looking at this, I think Philadelphia could be a play-in team if everything goes right. But let's be honest here. When you go down without Embiid and when you go down without LeBron, okay, when they miss 20 games respectively, okay, you're taking 2 of your major stars out. That leaves now newly acquired Jaylen Brown and the cast from last year, minus Paul George, of course, to pick up the slack. Now, look, Jaylen Brown is in his own element. There's no question. But the fact that then you're going to ask a Tyrese Maxey, a VJ Edgecomey, to come in and pick up the slack from where LeBron was. Philadelphia was better off just getting Jaylen Brown. Let's just call that what it is. LeBron James coming in doesn't add much. In fact, I think it detracts. Because look, next year, Indiana is going to be better. The Pacers are going to be better. I think the Chicago Bulls are going to be better. I don't think that the Washington Wizards are going to be a playoff team, but they might be. I certainly don't see Charlotte. I see Miami. I see Orlando again. And I see Philly. But look, I don't expect there to be any drop-off between Detroit, Boston, New York. And look, Boston's got a hell of a coach in Joe Mazzulla. He's a very good coach. The Knicks are going to be amped up because they won a title. Cleveland's going to be angry because they didn't win a title. And look, you say here, Sticky, that nobody expected the Knicks. The Knicks were one of the best teams all year in the Eastern Conference. They were always at the top of the division. Yes, in the final 3 weeks of the regular season, did they falter a bit? Absolutely they did. But then when they reverted back to playing the Tom Thibodeau defense and the Tom Thibodeau offensive sets, guess what? They won. They became dominant. That's not going to happen in Philly. I'm sorry. And while LeBron was great in LA this year, he was carrying the team on his back, and everybody knew it. And the fact that they got as far as they did, that's a testament to LeBron James. But more importantly, it also means LeBron is going to try to bring that same mentality to Philadelphia. And in reality, it's not going to work. He doesn't have to be that guy. He doesn't have to be the number one guy anymore. And I think that's very difficult for LeBron. I think that's incredibly difficult for LeBron James to think about. I think for LeBron, it is absolutely gonna be difficult. Yeah, he averaged 21, 6, and 7. He had a good year. I'm not saying that, Sticky. But I'm saying it's down for LeBron. LeBron is not the same player. He's just not. I'm sorry. Now let's see what he does when he's not the number one option. Because look, I'm sorry, he's not the number one option. Jaylen Brown is. Tyrese Maxey is. Edgecomey should be. LeBron should not be the number one option in Philly. But you know damn well he's going to try to make it. And he's going to try to be the number one option. But he shouldn't be. And that's what I mean when I say LeBron makes it about LeBron. He talks about being a team player, but I'm sorry. LeBron James is not in the business of making other people better. He's just not. He's been in the business of LeBron James since high school. And that's a cold, hard fact. And if LeBron fans want to come at me about it, fine. I got thick skin. I can deal with it. But I'm telling you right here and now, he will not win MVP, and he will not win a title in Philadelphia. And in fact, I'd be willing to go on to say Nick Nurse will not be the head coach of the 76ers. I just don't see it happening. I think LeBron is gonna try to force him out because he's not happy with, how LeBron is being treated. And if LeBron ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? Because that's how it was in L.A. That's exactly how it was in L.A. So LeBron goes to the 76ers. We had another big free agent signing, this time in the NHL. Patrick Kane going back to the Chicago Blackhawks on a 2-year deal to be on the wing side of Connor Bedard, their young upstart center. I think it's a great signing for the Blackhawks. They didn't have to give anything up. You've got a veteran that can come in that can still play well. He's not going to be the Patrick Kane that Blackhawks fans will want it to be from 2015, 16, 17. But he's going to be a guy that's going to be on your top 6. He's going to be on the power play, and he's going to help you in shootouts. More importantly, he's going to help Connor Bedard. He's going to help Frank Nazar be better players. And because of that, I think it's a great move for the Hawks. Now, PR-wise, it's a bad move for the Blackhawks. And Cody, I know it's bad for the Red Wings. My concern, if I'm Detroit, is if Alex DeBrincat goes. Because then you're talking about losing Dylan Larkin, Patrick Kane, and DeBrincat. 3 major pieces of your squad. So the PR side of it for the Blackhawks, it's a catch-22. It's positive because you're bringing back somebody from the glory days, right? From the Stanley Cup Finals. It's bad because you're bringing back a guy from those teams because of the fact of what those teams did to their own teammates for whatever those teammates believed or felt. That was the demise and the downfall of the Blackhawks. That's what got Joel Quenneville fired. That's what got Stan Bowman replaced. And that's what led to Jonathan Toews leaving, Marian Hossa leaving, Patrick Kane leaving. So while it's great for PR for the Blackhawks, it's also a subtle reminder of what was the bad side of the 3 Stanley Cups in the 6 years. But make no mistake, Blackhawks fans very quickly will forget that if this Hawks team competes and if this Hawks team wins next year. And don't get me wrong, if the Blackhawks don't win next year, don't be shocked if Kaner's on the trading block. He's got a full no-trade clause. Don't be shocked if they ask to move him. And in fact, I'm going to say this much. Don't be shocked then if there are serious questions about Connor Bedard. And if there's anybody that's going to be able to call out Connor Bedard, you damn well bet you it's going to be Patrick Kane. Because Kaner played with one of the best centers in Chicago Blackhawks history in Jonathan Toews, Captain Sirius. Those two together, I would equate those two and their greatness together to that of Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr when they were in together with the Penguins. They were fantastic. And so for the Blackhawks, let's just call this what it is. It's a reunion tour. There's no doubt. But this reunion tour has to be good on both sides. All right, let's switch gears and talk NFL. We talked about it last night. The Kyle Shanahan car accident that really has been a bigger news story than what most people are giving it credence for. Look, Kyle Shanahan is the heart and soul of that 49er offense. And people could say, oh, no, it's Christian McCaffrey. Oh, no, it's Brock Purdy. Oh, no, No. Shanahan's the one that stirs the drink. Shanahan's the one that calls the plays. Now, per Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk, he has stated that the 49ers fully expect Florio to be available, or Shanahan, to be available at the start of the regular season. But they've got a number of different coaches, Raheem Morris, Chris Forrester, that are going to step in, Clay Kubiak, the new OC, that are going to step in and try to pick up the slack. And John Lynch said it. Look, you can't replace Kyle Shanahan with one guy. You just can't. But as we talked about last night, I think it's interesting that they've got another Kubiak in the pipeline in San Francisco. And the reason for that, the Shanahan and Kubiak dynasty, if you will, go back all the way to the 49ers with Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak being together. And then they go to Denver together. So the Shanahan and Kubiak connection has been around since the 80s. And I think it's a very strong connection. And look, quite honestly, these two coaches, Clay Kubiak, whom we don't know much about, let's be honest here. But we know enough about Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan's going to be the same type of play caller that he always has been. But if Shanahan is going to be out for any extended length of time during the preseason, I think that overall, it's a good thing for the 49ers. And here's why I say that. If Kyle Shanahan has to go out of the regular season, for whatever reason, if he's gone, then ultimately, you're going to have a guy in Clay Kubiak that's absolutely going to be able to call the plays effectively and efficiently. This is giving him some much needed play as the OC. And I truly believe that overall, look, I don't wish anything bad on Kyle Shanahan. I think he's one of the greatest offensive minds of the last 20 years. But overall, for the 49ers, it's going to be a strange start to camp, and I'm sure today was for everybody. Because quite honestly, you don't have your head coach at a full capacity. He suffered a horrific injury. Let's think about this for a minute. He suffered multiple broken bones in his hand, in his nose, in his ribs. He required 40 stitches to his face on top of having a severe concussion. And the Niners have said they're going to hold off and hold him out just like regular players. He's got to go through a protocol. And when he does, and when he clears that, he'll be ready for takeoff. But this is a veteran squad. They're not going to miss Kyle Shanahan much. He'll come right back in, and it'll be like he never left. And again, per Mike Florio, they expect him to be ready to go for the regular season. But if those concussion symptoms linger for him, that's a big storyline that we have to watch for the 49ers. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we are going to preview in our final preview segment before tomorrow night when we tackle the NFC North. We are going to tackle another element to the NFC. All coming up when we come back on America's fan-driven sports show, where it's real fans, real talk, and you are front row to it all right here on the Last Row Podcast. You know, every championship team starts with a great game plan. The same thing goes for remodeling your home. Before you swing a hammer or start tearing out cabinets, call the professionals at I Know a Guy Remodeling. They'll help you plan the project correctly, keep you informed throughout the process, and deliver results that you yourself can be proud of. Whether it's a bathroom remodel, new deck, flooring, custom updates, or a full home renovation, they've got the experience to make it happen. At the Last Row Podcast, we appreciate businesses that work hard, that stand behind what they do, and they support the local communities. That's why we are proud to partner with I Know a Guy Remodeling. Give them a call today, because everybody deserves to know a guy. And now you do. You can check out a link to their Facebook page on our website, www.lastrowpodcast.com. And tell them the Last Row Podcast sent you. Alrighty, welcome back into the Last Row Podcast, a fan's perspective on sports. Mike, good to see you. Welcome in. And you do construction as well for a living. Well, then let's talk. We could use more sponsors, sir. Just saying. All right. Let's go ahead here and let's talk about a division in the NFC that, quite honestly, this is a hard one for me to do. And I'll just be honest with you. And I think we talked about it and we touched on it a little bit. But I don't believe that we've previewed it, really. And that's the NFC South. You've got the Falcons, the Saints. I'm based in Illinois. But we spread all over. This is a nationwide show. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, X, Starting this week, we're going to be on Sideline.fm. So we're all over the place. We're worldwide. But you got the Falcons, the Saints, the Bucks, and the Carolina Panthers. So let's start worst to first, shall we? That's how we've been doing this. So let's go ahead and let's do that. All right. I think to start out, and we're just going to go this route here, okay? And the reason why we're going worst to first is because that's just how this is going to roll. So the worst team in the division, in my opinion, and per ESPN's roster rankings going into the start of camp, the Saints have the projected 26th ranked roster heading in. So let's look at this and let's talk about it. Now, I believe full tilt that the Saints are going to be, I just don't trust their quarterback. And their quarterback being Tyler Shugg, that is, he's a second-year guy, but he hasn't done much. There's not enough evidence to support him being an NFL starter. I'm sorry, there's not. You've got Travis Etienne as your running back. You've got Chris Olave at the wide receiver, along with Jordan Tyson and Devon Vele. At the tight end, you've got Noah Fant. You've also got, big name. Well, not big name, but you've got, Juwan Johnson. Okay. Left tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr., solid pickup. David Edwards, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, whom I truly liked. And at right tackle, Talise Fuaga. Then you look at the defense. Brian Brees, Nathan Shepard, Christian Miller as your tackles. Your edge, you got Granderson, and Chase Young. Caden Ellis, Pete Warner at the linebackers. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jonas Sanker, Martin Emerson Jr. at your corners. Justin Reed and Julian Blackman. Their biggest strength is obviously the wide receiver, with Olave being the big name. He had a brilliant year last year for the Saints. Olave did. Now he's joined by Jordan Tyson, the 8th overall pick in the draft, setting up New Orleans with one of the best young wide receiver duos in the league. Their biggest weakness is defensive cornerback. They've got something with Kool-Aid McKinstry. He was a 2024 second-round pick that has seemingly turned up and played very well. But the bigger concern is second-year guy Quincy Riley and journeyman Isaac Yiadom are the only corners who played a snap last season. They're going to compete with newcomer Martin Emerson Jr., who missed all of last year due to a torn Achilles. Tyler Shugg is going to be the X factor. And let's just be honest here. He's got a good coach in Kyler Moore. Moore is a very good coach. His rookie season went better than expected. He was 12th best in QBR qualifiers and accuracy, 16th best in off-target rate, and pass rate over expected. He got rid of the ball quickly with a ton of play action help, but he struggled with sacks. He was a 27th in sack rate and had a low rate of explosive plays. The result was a 48.8 QBR, which ranked 21st. It was good enough for the Saints to not explore other quarterback options this season, but the fate of the 26 Saints rides on the shoulder of Tyler Shugg. That's why I don't believe he's going to be their starting quarterback a year from now, and that's why I have them last in this division. From there, I look at a team that I believe is on the rise, and I truly believe is going to be better than what is expected. But I think there's going to be some issues. And we're talking about a team whom I believe's head coach is on the hot seat. And I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe the biggest loss that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had was letting Liam Cohen leave. When they let him go to Jacksonville, that was a huge loss because under Liam Cohen, Baker Mayfield was playing at an MVP type level. Without Liam Cohen, Baker has not been the same. So therefore, I believe Baker will have another rough year. Now, Bucky Irving was a very good running back last year when he was healthy. Kenneth Gainwell's been brought in to help out. Your wide receiver room lost its leader in Mike Evans. You've got Emeka Egbuka, Chris Goodwin, Jalen McMillan. At your tight end position, you've got Cade Otton, left tackle Tristan Wirfs, left guard Ben Bredson, Graham Barton at center, Cody Mauch at right guard, Luke Gedke at right tackle. Your defense, which is supposed to be the heart and soul of this team, based upon who you have as your head coach in Todd Bowles. I believe Todd Bowles is on the hot seat, and I believe it's early. You've got Vita Vea, A'Shawn Robinson, Kalijah Kancey at your defensive tackles. At edge, you've got Reuben Bain Jr., whom they drafted out of Miami, who was a very productive player, who I think is going to really help them out. And Yaya Diaby. Alex Anzalone they get from Detroit. Servosia Dennis at the other linebacker position. Then you've got at your corners Zion McCollum, Benjamin Morrison, and Jacob Parrish. Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith in your backfield. Your biggest strength, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is the defensive front, and we know that. It's a balanced roster, but Vita Vea has been a mainstay there. Kalijah Kancey comes back after missing all but 91 snaps last season due to an injury. A'Shawn Robinson was a great offseason addition. Their biggest weakness is tight end. Cade Otton has been solid, 40 to 60 receptions in all 4 of his NFL years, but is often phased out of the passing attack when the team is healthy at wide receiver. The X factor is going to be Emeka Egbuka. Reagan, good evening. He came out of the gates flying high as a rookie. But now Mike Evans is gone, and Chris Godwin, who's often injured and is 30, they're going to need the young man, Egbuka, to play big. He's got to be big for him. And if he's not, you're going to see Baker Mayfield struggle again. That's why I think Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. That's why I believe Baker Mayfield may be dealt after next season. And don't be shocked if a landing spot for Baker could be Jacksonville with Liam Cohen. So, all right, we've got the New Orleans Saints in last place, Tampa Bay in third. The surprise team in this division, to me, is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. And here's why. I have them finishing second in the division. Here's the reason why. Their biggest offseason acquisition, in my opinion, was Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski coming in brings an offensive identity to this team that they have not had in a very long time. They bring in Tua Tagovailoa, who I'm not crazy about, as everybody knows. He's one concussion away from really not being able to play in the NFL any longer. You have as his backup Michael Penix Jr., who I think could be very good in the Stefanski offense. You've got the best running back in the game in Bijan Robinson. You've got a fantastic wide receiver room led by Drake London, Jahan Dotson, and Olamide Zaccheaus, who comes over from Chicago. You've got Kyle Pitts and Austin Hooper. Pitts signed an extension to stay in Atlanta. Left tackle, Jake Matthews. Left guard, Matthew Bergeron. At center, Ryan Newsill. Right guard, Chris Lindstrom. Right tackle, Jawan Taylor. Now, the defense is where things get interesting and gets a little messy. Zach Harrison at defensive tackle, Brandon Dorlus at the tackle, and Laquale London at tackle. James Pierce Jr. and Jalon Walker at the edge. Divine Diablo at linebacker, Christian Harris. A.J. Terrell, Mike Hughes, and Billy Bowman Jr. at the corners. Safeties is Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates III. Biggest strength, obviously, is running back. Bijan Robinson is the best running back in the NFL. Biggest weakness by far is quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. and Tua are battling for the job. Penix has yet to emerge as a capable starter. He tore his left ACL in Week 11, and now with Tua Tagovailoa coming in as his competition, he's got to prove that he was worth the 8th pick in the draft. Tua, on the other hand, has flashed at times, but Miami took on a record $99 million in dead cap money just to release him, just to get rid of him. Now, the X factor is cornerback Avion Terrell. Last season, Mike Hughes allowed 1.5 yards per coverage snap, much higher than an average for an outside cornerback. Could Terrell, who has been the Falcons' first selection in this year's draft at number 48, end up being a better solution? I believe he will be. I also believe that their biggest addition was Kevin Stefanski. Look, Kevin Stefanski knows how to run a good offense. I believe the Falcons' offense is going to be much improved, and I will say this much. You're going to see Kyle Pitts featured a hell of a lot more. The other part of this, too, is they've got a really good young quarterback in Michael Penix. Yes, he's coming back from an injury. Yes, he's injury prone. But in this offense, which is really a run-first offense, if you can get Bijan Robinson going early, and you know damn well you can, then that's going to open up the passing game and the play-action game. It's a variation of the West Coast offense. So I'm just telling you, I think the Falcons are going to be much better. I truly believe the Falcons are going to be a much better team this year than what they were a year ago. All right, now let's talk about the team that as of right now is slated to be the best team in that division, and that's the Carolina Panthers. And I'm not going to say it's a slam dunk for the Panthers, especially after the injuries that have come out so far very early here in training camp. They're projected to have the 24th best starting roster in the NFL. It's not saying much. Bryce Young at quarterback, look, the pressure's on him. He's got to produce. And we saw last year, late in the year, he did. Running back Chuba Hubbard's got to stay healthy. Wide receiver, you've got McMillan, Coker, and Leggett. Jatavion Sanders at the tight end and Tommy Tremble. Now, you lose your starting right tackle in Taylor Moton. So Tommy Tremble, Rashad Walker, Damian Lewis, Luke Fortner, all those guys are going to have to play big. Defensively now, you've got Derek Brown, Wharton, and Brown III as your defensive tackles. Jalen Phillips and Patrick Jones II you have on the edge. You lose outside starting linebacker, though. So originally it's Devin Lloyd and Trevin Wallace. You've got J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson, Smith Wade as your corners, and Mooring and Scott as your safeties. Now, the offensive line, losing Moton right away is a big deal. That's a problem. Moton will be there. It's going to be Ikwonu, their left tackle, who tore his patellar tendon. And he's going to miss the majority of 26. But they signed veteran Rasheed Walker. They drafted Monroe Freeling. They've got good guards in Lewis and now Robert Hunt. Luke Fortner comes in. He's a newcomer. Their biggest weakness, though, is running back, is Chuba Hubbard. He battled a lot of injuries, and he was ineffective, and he lost a lot of his duties to Rico Dowdle. With Dowdle gone, 2024 second-round pick Jonathan Brooks, who's had one appearance in 2 years because of 2 torn ACLs, will battle for work. There's hope that the Panthers can get a running game going for still a young quarterback in Bryce Young. And then, of course, the X factors are going to be the edge rushers of Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd. And if they have a good year, then Carolina's going to have a good year. But look, this division to me is wide open. If the Falcons can produce early, I think Atlanta could be the surprise team in this division. Because I think Kevin Stefanski is that damn good of a coach. The biggest question for the Falcons is their quarterback play, much like, in my mind, it is for the Panthers. If Bryce Young doesn't make bad decisions and is quick with getting rid of the ball, and Dave Canellis can effectively run the ball, if you can run it, it makes your life a hell of a lot easier as a quarterback. If you can't run it, it's not going to end well. And so, therefore, I believe that overall, you're going to need a much better year out of your offense and out of your quarterback in Bryce Young. The fact now that they only have the 24th ranked roster going into training camp is a concern. And they've lost 2 starters, major starters. One on offense, one on defense. So the injury bug has hit Carolina early. That may impact where they end up. And I believe the NFC South is wide open. Wide open. And that's why I believe that the Falcons have an absolute great opportunity. That if Carolina struggles, Atlanta could jump up there. Atlanta could absolutely jump. All right, tomorrow night we are going to talk about and have the preview of the NFC North. We've talked at length already about the Bears. We're going to break their roster down. We're going to break down the rosters of the Lions and the Vikings and the Packers. I believe that this season it's the Bears' division to win. I don't believe anybody in the conference or in the division has gotten better. I just don't. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. We're also going to discuss any and all major news. Now, I want to mention here before we go tonight that one story that we've talked about quite a bit was the starting quarterback position in Arizona for the Cardinals. And quite honestly, I'm a little bit shocked. And here's why. Jacoby Brissett has been holding out. He hasn't participated in voluntary workouts. Now that training camp has started, they reworked his contract. They reached an agreement on a reworked contract, and this is per ESPN, that will pay him $15.5 million guaranteed this season, with the chance to make up to $21 million with incentives, per Adam Schefter. Brissett had never set out to add more years to the 2-year contract he signed in 25. Cardinals coach Mike LaFleur said, "It's good. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for our team. It was productive for it to get done now, sooner rather than later. It's a good thing." LaFleur said Brissett will start taking reps with the first-team offense Tuesday when the team returns from its day off and starts its second block of training camp. He wouldn't commit to starting Brissett week 1 when the Cardinals visit the Chargers, just that he'll be taking the first-team reps. Now, my question here, and forgive me, you're giving this guy $15.5 million with the chance to go up to $21 million for what? He has been below average at best and a career backup. And you are giving Jacoby Brissett $15.5 million as the baseline. Are you crazy? You're not going to win with Jacoby Brissett. Absolutely not. If Mike LaFleur thinks that Jacoby Brissett is the answer at quarterback and vouches for him to be paid like Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, he's out of his mind and out in front of his skis already before one game has been coached. Jacoby Brissett is a career backup. Jacoby Brissett hasn't done anything to deserve that $15.5 million other than act like an entitled, spoiled brat. And quite honestly, it's going to come back to bite the Cardinals, who once again are very quickly becoming the worst-run organization in the NFL. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Cardinals made a huge mistake here today by giving a guy who was holding out because he thought he was worth more than the $4.5 million he was making, which I'll gladly take, and I'll take the beating, and I'll be more productive than Jacoby Brissett for $4.5 million. But I'm sorry, Jacoby Brissett has not done anything to deserve this. He hasn't. And yes, look, I understand he had a decent year last year. 23 touchdowns, 3,300 yards, 8 picks in 14 games, 12 of those he started. I'm sorry, but he's not worth it. With his raise now, he's now the 4th lowest paid quarterback in the NFL as far as take-home salary, moving up one spot from his initial contract. But let's be honest here. Jacoby Brissett is not a starting NFL quarterback. He's just not. Jacob, good evening. Jacoby Brissett has always been a career backup. And the fact that he now is getting paid $15.5 million to start, it's not a good precedence to set if you're the Arizona Cardinals. And I believe wholeheartedly that the Cardinals are going to regret this because Brissett has never been healthy for a full season. He's never played a full season. He's never started enough, in my opinion. Yes, he's got 12 games under his belt with Arizona. This is a much different offense than what was there a year ago. They would have been better off starting a rookie as their quarterback. Just saying. All right, that's going to put a bow on this edition of the Last Row Podcast. I want to thank you so much for listening, for joining us tonight, whether that is on YouTube, X, or Twitter, the TikTok Live, If you're joining us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you so much for doing so. We greatly appreciate it. Remember, we will be on Catching Up with Cody tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will then follow up with this show. And we have a scheduling announcement coming up for the show. Also, don't forget, we're going to have our live interactive website with Fanatics up this week. Sideline.fm is going to be happening this week, as well as other streaming platforms. So get ready, because we're coming at you from a variety of areas. I want to thank our friends at I Know a Guy Remodeling, as well as Forever Finds Thrift. And until tomorrow night, when breaking news changes everything, I'll see you in the last row.